Hello and welcome back to the DayLuna Human Design Podcast with your hosts, Dana and Shayna. We are back from a little bit of a break and we are getting into our flow. I know that for all of our, I don't know what the word I want to use, like our consistent listeners or people who are like, where the fuck are you? Where's your podcast? We've been a little bit unpredictable, I want to say, but that's because we're not disciplined bitches. We are literally designed for flow. So we don't have seasons. We don't have like a rough schedule, but we are feeling the year of the fire horse kicking into full gear and we are freaking recording. We have so many episodes that we want to share with you. We have so many topics that we want to talk about and teach. So you can expect this year to really learn a lot about human design, to also, I don't know, just feel like you're part of community that is wanting to build a more beautiful and connected and supportive world as things are shifting and changing in this new paradigm. So that really is my hope with this podcast, but also with our community, with besties, with all of the things that we've been creating with our retreats and our courses. Like my heart and soul really just feels so called to want to build something that is bringing in more light and more love and more connection and more freedom and more authenticity and a true space where people feel actually seen and not just, I don't know, like they're without ego. And so I think that this year with Neptune shifting into Aries and with all of the different shifts that are happening energetically for the collective right now, this year I just really want to just go for it. And so you can expect more consistent podcasts from us. You can expect more, I don't know, cozy gathering bestie vibes. Like even if you're not part of our besties community, like bestie vibes is my purpose.
Same. It's so true. And like being on Instagram in the last year, I've felt a huge shift happening in the social media world where, you know, where this was this like trendy thing where everyone's doing the same trends. And if you go viral, then you have all these followers, but it starts to feel kind of hollow because you have all these followers that aren't actually connecting with you. And it takes out the social part of social media. Instead, it was like spectator media. And I'm feeling that collapse. I'm feeling us all get really saturated in that and be deeply, deeply craving a more real, more authentic, more connective space on social media, on platforms like this. And honestly, that's one of the things that we've always loved about podcasting is that we don't have to edit the shit out of ourselves or filter ourselves or try to get it down into a 10-second or 30-second clip. We get to just be ourselves unfiltered. And that long form, unfiltered, come as you are, you have no idea what you're going to say, you're just saying it from the heart kind of energy, I feel like is the medicine that we are all sort of craving as we go through the changes that we're going through. And also in general, I've been feeling like the world is moving so quickly and such intense crumbling is happening as we're only 1 year away from 2027 now. Like we're officially less than a year away. And honestly, on one hand, if I can zoom out on a spiritual lens, I think it's amazing to witness it all crumbling, like in divine timing, in perfect order, in the way that we are revealing shadows. And, you know, the shadows that have been hidden for a long time, they're coming to the surface to crumble in this cosmic moment that we've been preparing for, that, you know, not just human design, but lots of different wisdom keepers from different cultures and spiritualities from thousands of years ago have predicted this time for all of this type of crumbling to happen and for change to happen. So when I zoom out, I'm like, this is epic. This is amazing. But when I zoom into my daily life, I'm like, this is fucked. And it's crazy that the news we're reading, the things that we're seeing online, and then we just have to like continue on with our day and go grocery shopping and just act normal in a world that is so unnormal right now. And I wanted to say that all of that is motivating me to really get serious about what is the thing that I can help create, that I can help contribute to, that's going to be a grounding force in the midwifing of this new paradigm. And I feel like for all of us, this is a really important time to not get distracted, to not get overwhelmed, but to do whatever it is you can to get centered in the awareness, the information, the wisdom, the creations that are going to help us all usher in this new paradigm. And so I feel like a lot of the stuff that we're wanting to create with DayLuna, the retreats that we're wanting to create, the stuff that we're doing in Besties, which is honestly like spiritual priestess work. I've been really feeling that those words come up, like this is spiritual priestess work. And it is so important because it's such an ungrounding time. And I think in general, as we move into the new paradigm and we move into the cross of the sleeping phoenix, there's this, challenge on the horizon around toxic individuality. We have to really make sure that we don't fall into the trap of continued or deepening toxic individuality. We have to make sure that we are actively creating community, collaboration, connection. So while it's so important to be empowered as an individual, to find your voice, to find your inspiration, to stay regulated, rooted, inspired, grounded as an individual, it's also so deeply important to show up in collaboration with your partner, with the children that you're raising, with the kids that you're around in your community, with the clients that you're working with. It's really a crucial time that we don't separate and internalize, but instead we find our internal power and then we come together in communities and spaces like this. So I'm sure if we are feeling all of this stuff, it probably echoes what a lot of you all are feeling in this too. And we're excited to just go on this journey together and to kind of co-regulate by being in this space together, having a space where we can be honest and open and share the real shit that's happening and process the real shit that's happening, and also allow that to help us get inspired about being the ushers of the new paradigm instead of overwhelmed.
Yeah. And I think it's important to point out that like midwifing anything is messy, it's painful, it's scary, it's overwhelming.
There will be blood.
There will be blood. There will be like, it's
tears.
Disgusting. And it's also like
intensity,
awe-inspiring, right? So it's so many mixed things at once, right? Nothing is ever black and white. Nothing is ever just good or just bad. There's so much space for all of the emotions to be held. And I do think that while we are all easily overstimulated and learning so much information, and a big part of this transition is learning how to regulate your nervous system and be in a physical body navigating such intense energetic shifts that are happening, that are forcing this crumbling to happen. But it's also it's hard. It's hard, and it's not going to get easier, right? Like the things that are coming out are horrifying and heartbreaking, and truly make you feel like there's no hope. And the only way out is through. Like that, I kept reading that when I was in labor. Like the only way out is through. The only way out is through. And like, not that I wanted to get out right in labor, like, but just like, I have to go through this. I can't just skip over it. I can't just like pretend it's not happening and get to the other side, or like only focus on the end result. Like I have to be here right now and I have to move through it. So how do we move through it? Right? Like I think that we've all, because we've been overstimulated with so much information for the last, 20 years, that we've all really increased our capacity to hold. And that capacity increasing to be able to hold multiple truths at once of this is scary, this is heartbreaking, I feel rage, I want to do something, I want to stand up. For things to actually crumble, the collective has to feel rage. They have to tear down these things. There has to be action and accountability and things getting burned to the ground, right? That can only happen through rage, through collective uprising, right? So that is one side, but also we can still hold deep and profound love for ourselves, for one another, building and grounding in things that are important in our lives. Like we can do both at the same time. So whatever it is that you're feeling called to get involved with, whether that is something that is like fighting against these forces that have been keeping us oppressed and stuck and small, or whether that is building something that is rising now in the new paradigm, or whether that's both, like really tuning into your frequency, your energetics, like how your body is feeling, your nervous system, what does it need in this moment, listening to your authority. That is the way through. And it's always in by moment. Like, do I want to post this thing? Do I want to have this conversation? Do I want to call my senator? Do I want to go to this protest or this rally? Do I want to just scream into my pillow? Do I want to turn everything off and just go for a walk in nature? Do I want to call my best friend? Do I want to go to a retreat? Do I want to go dance in the rain? Like whatever those things are, like it's moment by moment. All of those are decisions that your authority is going to tell you. Your authority might be like, hell no, I don't want to go dance in the rain. I want to fucking, I don't know, rage, whatever that thing is. It's just so important that it's
break some
your
shit.
Truth. Yeah, it's your
with
truth.
a baseball bat.
And that you're listening to it and that you're taking action on what you feel. I feel like we've been preaching that in this podcast for so many years now of like you understanding how to listen to your truth and then take action on it. And I think that sometimes when we think about taking action, it's like this huge big thing, right? Like when we think about like all of the systems that need to crumble and all of the shadow and the darkness and the pain and corruption that needs to be dismantled, it feels like impossible. It feels like this huge hill to climb. And that's the same with thinking about like building a business or thinking about like, building your dream home. Like it's always going to feel huge. It comes down to these small, tiny moments. Every thought, every conversation, every little action that you take, if you can do that with your authority and in integrity of who you are and what's in alignment for you, that's the way forward. So I did not think that this conversation was going to start off with talking about this, but how could it not? Like, I feel like it's at the forefront of every moment of all of our days right now. And I will say that every time, and I swear this is not a pitch for besties, but like every time that I'm in besties ceremony, I hear a voice in my head, like, this is the movement. This is the movement. And I'm not saying that besties is the movement, but what I'm really feeling is that like gathering together with intention, with honoring each other's individuality, with resetting our nervous systems, with listening to one another with love and openness and understanding, with working with the energetics that are around us and really opening your heart to do that energetic work. That is the movement. And community, right? Seeing that other people are doing it with you, that you're not alone, that you're not navigating this all by yourself, that there are other people that are on your same frequency and wavelength, right? You might find that in some other community. You might create that yourself. You might have that in your close friend group. That is the movement. Like I've been seeing things lately about having like just going out with your girlfriends and yapping and how that feels like witchcraft and like spiritual and like that is so healing in general. And it really truly is like, that is the movement in this, as we are crumbling things and building this new paradigm. So I'm really grateful for besties because I think that it's evolving and it's showing me things that, that are just so incredibly healing for me personally and for everyone that we've been meeting with. We've now been shifting it to be gathering on either the full moon or the new moon. Lately, we've been doing the eclipses, which feels so nourishing and so good, but it does feel like a reset. And in that same vein, this retreat that we just had in Palm Springs felt like a good, I don't want to say reset. I mean, what I feel like it's, like a touchstone, like pulling me back to my center of like, okay, we can do this. Like we can, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be like all sunshine and rainbows and unicorns, but we can, and we are doing it and moving through life still with love and openness and vulnerability and connection. And there's so much of that in the world. It's just hard to see sometimes when you're like surrounded by so much darkness. So I'm in love with our Palm Springs retreat.
Same.
I literally, I can't get over it. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this, but we're also going to be talking about relationships, bonding, some of our highlights of the things that we taught and that we're obsessed with right now. But yeah, I'm obsessed with that retreat that we had. And it was honestly so fast. In like a month we planned it and did it. And it was
our first retreat in the US where we didn't have to fly international to get there. Although we did have maybe one person who flew internationally to come to the US for it. But it was so, for me, it was like, I keep saying it's like a beacon. Like the frequency that we created is now just shining for the rest of my personal year of the fire horse. I just feel it there. And it's almost like I can look out at my inner landscape and see the light and just like connect in with it. And I sort of felt that when we were creating this retreat. You know, we normally create retreats in the spring, later in spring, but that's when my babies do. So we're like, okay, if we're going to do this one, we got to do it sooner. And it was so many times like, should we just skip it or should we go for this? It's like, well, our authorities want to. It's just really fast. And so a prime example of how you're getting the real deal with us for better or for worse. We literally use our authorities when we're creating something. And people are like, wouldn't it make more sense to have this strategy or to have these regulations? It's like, yeah, it would make more sense, but we don't make sense. Our business model
we're authentic.
is pure whimsy and inner authority led by our souls. And honestly, saying yes to doing this retreat, I'm just so grateful because I mean, just speaking for myself personally, my journey of navigating into motherhood and being in this like portal of pregnancy where I'm in this very, very potent transition. And then I also feel like the world is in this pregnancy, labor transition. It's so overwhelming that it's like, do we still have space to follow our inner light? And do we still have space to gather in this? And, you know, there's a million reasons to feel overwhelmed or fearful around it, to make decisions out of fear. And there's only one reason to choose the thing that is truly calling your soul. And that's just following your inner authority. So I just feel like doing this retreat felt like an act of joyful rebellion. And it ended up being such incredible medicine because the group of humans that came together for this retreat, whose authorities also were called. It was just such a beautiful group. And honestly, the whole time I was trying to put my finger on what was the frequency that I was feeling of this group. Every group that we have in a retreat has like their own theme. There's a reason that they're drawn to that location or that content that we're sharing at that retreat, or like the themes that we're exploring in that retreat. And so, of course, this theme was all about relationships and bonding, and it was advanced material. So a lot of the people there were either human design readers, or they were professional coaches, or they're individuals who are really wanting to understand their own family, their own relationships, and deeply integrate this into their life. But everyone there was really on this same frequency of being someone who deeply wants to share their light with others and who's on their own soul evolution journey individually, but feels like they're already in the space where they're reaching out to extend that to others. And it was just so special to be in a group of people who were all so similar in the fact that their first inclination as they learn this medicine is like, how can I share this with people I love? How can I uplift the people in my life? How can I shine everything that I've learned and everything that I know onto my children or onto my group or onto my clients that I'm working with? So there was the fact that we were gathering together to learn about bonding. There was a natural theme of bonding, like that was just emanating out of every single person. It was really special because we learned a lot about the difference between the energetics in partnership, meaning two people, versus once you are three people and you move into the Penta. And that energetic mechanic difference is life-changing. It is literally huge. And, you know, when you are, let's say, a single person and you get together with your romantic partner and then you live together in a partnership and you're sleeping next to each other, your energies are changing. You have this composite chart or connection chart where both of your energy flavors are changing. I always like to say, you can imagine it like I'm yellow and Jared is blue. And when we're together in our house in partnership aura, we are now both green. I'm no longer yellow. He's no longer blue. We've both transformed because of each other's energy when we're physically together. Now, when we become parents and suddenly there's a little baby in our house and a third soul with a third energy body, now we are no longer in a partnership aura. We are in a Penta aura. And that transition is literally, you feel it in every second of every moment when you're together in physical proximity. It becomes a huge new theme in your life that completely changes your energy once again. So it was very inspiring for me to get to explore these realms and teach these realms because I'm in that transition right now. And for Shayna, being able to watch her go through that transition in the last 2 years spanning out, it's honestly incredible to see. And then in this group, we had so many mothers and people who are working with kids or who have families. And so all of those themes just were coming up and they felt so pure and important in the face of all of the craziness that we're reading in the news.
Yeah, it was, I think that this was the most, this was the shortest retreat that we've had, which is fascinating because this is like the closest I felt to everyone in this retreat because, like you said, everyone was showing up for bonding and we dropped in like open hearts, real shit sharing.
The first dinner, the first second people opened their mouth to introduce themselves, I was literally already crying and like seeing people's aura extend out of their body and was thinking, wow, we are efficient at opening our hearts to each other.
Yeah, and every single person did. Every single person met each other there. And it's so crazy because I don't want to say like it was my favorite retreat because every retreat has been amazing. It's like, I don't have a favorite child. But
and I think we genuinely say every retreat was our favorite retreat right after.
I don't know.
If we go back, read the tape.
If I like Bali for sure, number one for me because of Bali and the energy of Bali and the healing energy, but also that retreat, we really went deep, but it was different than this retreat, right? Like Bali was really about like going deep and sharing vulnerably and like deconditioning. And it was like shadows,
emotions, tears,
screams
in the jungle,
you know, whereas like Mexico was more like expansion and purpose and like learning, but it was a little bit more like physically hard and like rough and tumble kind of vibes.
Yeah.
And
stairs were rough.
And then this Palm Springs, like I'm not even counting Egypt because that was just like an expedition. It wasn't like our typical retreat container.
But it was also 2 weeks.
Yes.
The longest retreat we've ever
different.
Done. And then this one being the shortest.
Yeah. And this one, I think that because we were learning and like so much information, you could consider the content that we taught like a human design reader training too, like just an advanced human design reader training, but that's focused on relationships, right? And bonding. But because we were teaching so much and because everybody was so honed in on bonding, it was less about like that like raw shadow work and more on just really like community connection. Like we had nights where we were in the hot tub till 2 a.m., like 20 of us just talking in groups and sharing and connecting. And it was just so beautiful. And this retreat was the easiest because it was in the US and because it was our 5th retreat. It was just so easy and it was easy to connect. It was easy to do all the things. I don't know. It was magical. I feel like a part of my soul has been healed just from the frequency that we were in. So what do I want to say about this retreat? I think something that is just so helpful in general is understanding, like you said, about pentas and how you operate in a penta, if you're a penta person or not, or if you're a Wa person. I think that that's been really helpful.
In this group, we were in a Wa. So it was just so cool to feel the energetics of being in a Wa while we were learning about that. And also so many of us having families of ourselves or working with families, but like most of the people there, a lot of people were parents, and then me moving into parenthood. So we got to explore the Penta from our own real life. And then of course, partnership is something that a lot of us can experience more easily, but it was really interesting to be able to be in those dynamics while we were learning the advanced curriculum around it.
Yeah, and getting to just see every time that we do a retreat, but getting to see how good it feels to gather with people who've all used their strategy and authority, and how healing that is in and of itself. Because like Ra hates Was. Was are large groups.
That needs to be we should make some human design rap songs. Ra hates Wa.
Okay.
Well, actually, he's more of a Wa person than a Penta person. He
is a Wa person, but he's not a Penta person. But
he still talks mad shit about Was because of the old paradigm world.
Okay, so for everyone listening who's like, what the fuck are you saying? What?
What?
Stretch. Wa. A Wa,
Megan
which I hate that word.
When we posted a picture of our group, Megan the manifester said, what a group.
Oh, I didn't see that. It's hilarious. Shout out to Meg. A Wa is a large group of people, right? A Penta is like 3 to 5 people. A Wa is like 10, 16, like you can go larger, like you can create multiple Was. So think like concerts, think retreats, think,
corporations.
Schools. Yeah, large groups of
hospitals.
And depending on the activations in your chart, which we're not going to teach you in this, but just knowing like some people based off of the gates and channels that you have do really well in a Wa. They're considered a Wa person and they feel seen in a Wa. They feel like they're leading in that. Whereas other people feel like they're annoying in that group or they feel totally unseen. That's me. I hate Was. I've always hated Was. And it really...
Except for our retreats.
Because every single person there is showing up with their strategy and authority. And because we're recognized as projectors, like there's a lot of dynamics
because the core theme of our Wa is individual recognition, like seeing every person as an individual and honoring every person's strategy and authority. And a Wa is, a programming agent that really tries to strip you from your inner authority. It literally creates safety in a group mentality so that you feel like you don't need to be your own authority anymore. And then the group dynamic can kind of capitalize on that. They can control you more. So entering into a conscious Wa where every single person used their strategy and authority to be there, and the focus and the intention of being in the group is to see every person as an individual, it transforms the frequency literally into the highest expression. And it's healed my soul in such a deep way to be in these retreat groups. I know we say this every time, but now thinking about it as the fact that Shayna and I are both not Wa people, and my whole life when I'm in, as projectors, we're really designed to be in partnership, one-on-one, peering into someone's soul anyways, but we also don't have any channels, or, we just have like a singular gate in the Wa, gates and channels. And my whole life, I've always just felt so invisible in a big group, and I can do it. I can, get through it, but it doesn't feel fulfilling. It always makes you kind of question yourself and question humanity and question the people around you. And then coming together in the conscious Wa, it's so deeply healing. It literally gives you a glimmer, an insight into what the new paradigm can be like if we move into it in alignment instead of in not self.
Yeah. And knowing that I'm not a Wa person and having that perspective that you just shared, it just gave me such permission to stop judging myself, because I cannot tell you, like it happens all the time. Like I just went to a birthday party for one of Isla's classmates, like or daycare mates, I don't know, and went to like a children's birthday party, and I literally like so invisible, which is fine. Like I really don't feel like I need to be seen in the Wa. But just so like, ugh, like it's just not it for me. Whereas I am a Penta person. So I did go to like a
You're the
separate
queen
thing.
of the Penta. When
I'm
she
queen
says
of
she's
the
a Penta
Penta.
person, she really means it. And she's like,
Yeah.
and that I love.
I love Pentas, which is groups of 3 to 5 people. I love that energy. And I went to like a happy hour for the parents that her daycare put on. And it was like literally there was 5 of us. And it was amazing. Had the best time. And so it just helped so much, like even understanding my husband. Like I was explaining all this to him, like, you're a Penta person, you're not a Wa person. And he's like, oh my gosh, that's why we hated that birthday party, that's why we loved that dinner, that happy hour. And I'm like, yes, exactly. And it
Didn't you
also helps
overhear
me.
him say to your neighbor, like, I'm just not a
Yes.
Wa person?
Yes. And they're like, what? And he's like, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm a Penta person. I'm not a Wa person. I'm like, yes, babe. But, and but it is helpful, even just knowing that. And I think we're going to teach that in Besties, like, how to know if you're a Penta or Wa person. We're not going to get into like, working with gaps and like the that will all be in our training that we're going to be releasing from this course, this retreat. So this retreat, we did film all of the coursework, all of the advanced training. We filmed that, and we are going to be releasing that in a online course. So stay tuned. We'll let you know when that's available and in what format you're going to be able to connect with that information, because it is life-changing, and there's so much to it. Like you can understand like, okay, this is my family Penta and these are our gaps. So this is why we struggle with money, or this is why we struggle with staying together, or feeling like it's harder to like each other, or why our house is always like harder to keep clean. Like there's so many specific things when you look at your family dynamics, and seeing who is the energetic leader in your family, that is huge, because you
Or
might
in
have
your
a child who is the energetic leader of your family. And we're so conditioned that your husband has to be that, or the mom, or whatever makes sense mentally. But really, you might have a child that's like, no, everybody in this whole household is taking their lead. And that's correct. That's not something that you need to fix. That's not something that's wrong with your child or wrong with you as a parent. So understanding that alone, huge. So there's a lot in this training that
And we also
literally
go
changes your
into,
life.
we also look at the Penta as far as like a small business group or a small teams group, because it does have a different meaning when you're looking at it in a family unit versus a small business unit. And also I feel like that is such a powerful tool for the new paradigm, because a lot of these big, large corporations have become so corrupt and like hungry for power and really abusing the individual. And that is all crumbling right now. So what is going to be needed to be guided in its place? What's being born in its place are these small grassroots collaboration teams that are empowered financially, right? Because the Penta, the BG5 Penta that goes into businesses, it really gives you a lot of insight about what you might be missing. And actually, it is a tool that you can manipulate more easily. With your family Penta, we teach about this in the course, but it's harder to just add a new person into your family. And in a business Penta, it's easier to formulate your group, to collaborate in a conscious way with the people who are really going to be successful and help you create a viable business. And that is so freaking important. In the new paradigm, it is so important that conscious people who want to collaborate, who want to do their soul's work, are able to have a viable and sustainable business. And, Shane and I did not go to business school. We have only used human design, and like this BG5 Penta is honestly next level for teaching you a lot of the aspects that are going to be needed in a new paradigm business. And I feel like that is also such an incredibly valuable tool that we discussed in depth in this training.
Yeah, it is. It's next level. It's advanced, but it is, I think, one of the most important things right now as we're moving into this new paradigm, and understanding how to navigate your family dynamics without tearing yourselves apart because of conditioning or just misunderstanding. And just in general, knowing like, it's going back to kind of what you were saying about unconscious Was and how they don't feel good. Like I have never gone to a retreat that felt like ours. And I'm not saying that to be like, we're the best. It's just like, every retreat that I've been to, it's
You've
either
never been to another human design retreat where people come in with their strategy and authority, and that in and of itself is a game changer.
And I do think that there are human design spaces that are full of a lot of ego and are full of a lot of control and wanting to actually be other people's authority and take their authority away. So the intention of the Wa is not about you being an individual and honoring you as an individual, even if they're showing up like what you were saying, right? So it's just so fascinating to me how like they're in this like spiritual space where like you are hoping to be like seen or guided or expanded. I feel like I've come across so much ego. Like I am the spiritual guru and I'm going to tell you I know what's best, or like you don't matter because I have more followers or I have more whatever, or like you're not cool enough or whatever the thing is. There's so much ego wrapped up in some of these things, like even with Tony Robbins or like with, I don't want to name names. I already did. But like, there's just so many things that I'm like, this is good, but it's not quite it for me. I still feel like it's off, or I still feel like the intention isn't really supportive for people, or I still feel like people do feel invisible. And I think that that's been a huge part of our medicine, but also the things that we've been called to create. And maybe because we're projectors, we just enjoy seeing people so deeply that like in our retreats, for example, like when people were coming in for one of the things, like I gave each person in the moment, just decided because it felt good, a personal cleanse of like affirmations and that were specific to them and their journey and the things that they'd shared so far and their chart. And it was just like, because I wanted to, because I see people and because it felt good to just lean into that. And I think that that is the part that like, maybe before, or especially when I'm not invited to see people, that I have to hold back, or that you feel like, no, this is going to take too much time, or like, no, this isn't important, or no, like, it's not about the people attending. It's about the host that's putting it on, or the person that's teaching. Right. Biggest pet peeve. And yeah, for me, I think that I've just come to really realize like, I want to be in spaces where people genuinely care to see one another and not just like, talk about the same shit or learn from the same person, but like, no, I'm seeing you. Like I'm seeing how, even in yoga, like the difference of going to like a yoga class where it's like, just follow along with me. Like, doesn't matter who's in here. There's just bodies in a room, versus one where like the teacher really comes around and sees how you're doing the positions and how you're breathing and how you can like deepen your practice, right? Like that individual, I care to see you energy, and like you matter and you deserve, you're worthy. Those are the spaces that I want to be in. And I don't care if it's 5 people. I don't care if it's one person, other person, or if it's 100 people, right? That energy of like, you are worth being seen and I'm worth being seen by you. And we can see each other without our egos of judgment. I just think like, that's the movement. Like that keeps coming up. That's the movement. And it doesn't have to be through us, because once again, it's not about my ego. It's just about what I've been learning through listening to my strategy and authority and creating these spaces. I've been learning so much about what really I've seen heal other people, what I've seen heal myself, and what feels like is building something real in this new paradigm in the future. So I just wanted to plant that seed. If you're feeling called to create that, or even just in your home or in your relationships, that energy of like, I want to see you and I want you to see me, whether you're a projector or not. Like, I don't think that really matters. I think it's that intention of setting down your ego and being with who's actually there, versus like the overarching, like, this is what we're here to learn, or like, we're having dinner right now, but like, so that's what we're focused on is just dinner. But instead of like really being present with someone and taking them
Yeah.
in and them taking you in.
I love that. And yeah, once again, it's such an important theme in the new paradigm, the collective, the community. Like, how do we create that? How do we come together as individuals in community, in conscious Was, in conscious Pentas? And it does bring me to the next thing that I have been really deeply observing. And that was a key theme in this retreat, romantic relationships specifically. You know, when we're talking about partnership mechanics in human design, Shane and I are a partnership, and you know, the two of us together have this composite chart, and we can study all of our dynamics and our places of harmony and our places of disharmony, and it is extremely helpful. There's no freaking way we would have made it this far without some of the awareness that we have around each other because of the system. There's no way. It's such an incredibly powerful, life-changing tool. And it's really interesting. Neither of us ever realized that a part of our life purpose was to work in conscious collaboration in a partnership, but it 100% is. And a lot of people, like when we met with psychics or astrologers or intuitives over the years, they're like, you know, a huge part of what you guys are here to model and do and be for the world is a conscious partnership, and people seeing you navigate that is a huge part of your purpose. And we're like, it is? Because we didn't realize that it is. It's just what has naturally happened when we followed our strategy and authority, and human design has been such a powerful tool that has supported that. So partnerships and working in conscious collaboration, I believe, is very important in the new paradigm. But I want to talk specifically about romantic relationships, because this is another huge theme that we are observing and witnessing on an individual level. You know, when human design talks about old paradigm versus new paradigm, we're talking about cross of planning versus cross of sleeping phoenix. But a lot of the other ancient modalities that have predicted and given insight to this huge awakening and paradigm shift also bring in the idea of masculine and feminine energy. And, you know, the collapse of the patriarchy and the rise of a divine feminine matriarchy, which is ultimately a union of masculine and feminine energy, or yin and yang energy. And, you know, if we go deeper into human design, the foundation of human design is yin energy and yang energy coming together in creation to create your design. So yin and yang, or masculine and feminine, or, you know, just two people coming together that have all of this duality and polarity inside themselves. Your design operates on a binary in every way. You have your design side and your personality side, or your unconscious and conscious. You have
The this and the that.
The this and the that of it, right? So such a huge part of our human experience is about two. How do we operate the two differences, the two different things, the this and the that of it, together as one? And something that we're seeing a lot of the people in our community, and ourselves included, come up against is you can go on this journey of self-evolution, of learning about yourself, self-awareness. You can go on this journey of becoming more brave and more bold, following your strategy and authority, transforming your life, but you can't force your romantic partner to do the same thing. And I feel like so many of us female, or people who identify as females, are coming into this space. You know, in our retreat, we've never had like a rule or anything that it has to be only women. It just naturally has been what's happened so far, and whose strategy and authority has brought them to this space with us. And, you know, if you go into, at least I'll speak in my experience, a lot of the yoga classes and breathwork classes and any kind of spiritual event I've been to, it's at least 90% women, if not more. And why is that, right? Why is that happening? And when we're thinking about the paradigm shift and moving into a matriarchal society and healing of masculine and feminine energies, I think it is extremely important to find tools and support to be able to usher our partnerships into that. Because it can feel really overwhelming when you're growing and evolving as an individual and your partner is stuck. You know, part of the new paradigm is the mutation of our solar plexus or our emotional center and the evolution and awakening of a new type of consciousness on this planet that comes from the solar plexus, spiritual awareness, but it comes through the lens of emotional intelligence, emotional safety, emotional cohesion with the other, with our partner. And, you know, for so many of us, we have been going on this journey of allowing ourselves to feel everything, to really be emotionally intelligent and to not spiritually bypass. And that has helped us evolve so much on a spiritual plane. And then it's like our partner is stuck in, you know, we kept hearing the analogy together in our group. Like, I feel like I'm in the deep end and my partner is stuck in the kiddie pool. And they're afraid to swim out to these greater waters. And what do we do about that? And, you know, in this coursework and through this time together, human design offers a lot of insight that can help heal any of that fear or that feeling of stuckness or that feeling of being invisible in a relationship. Like, you can't really see your authentic self because you're in partnership and then your aura is changing. But also, I just wanted to say that the women that we got to gather with, their openness and shares and vulnerability and honesty in and of itself felt like such an incredibly healing medicine for me. It's not an answer. It's not a technique. It's not an applicable tool like the human design content is that we're teaching. It's just openness about this issue and coming together and seeing that we're not alone in it. And through sharing in that openness, it's just like this quantum healing moment that brings you out of frustration and back into love. And I feel like that's going to be something that we're going to be continuing to explore in DayLuna's space. You know, how do we allow our romantic partnerships? How do we ease and invite growth and evolution in another person when we can't force that upon that person?
Yeah. And I think that loving yourself looks like not stunting your growth and knowing that there is no such thing as outgrowing someone else. Like, your growth doesn't have to be dependent on someone else. Your internal journey, your awareness, your vulnerability, your openness, right? There's so many different avenues and places that are being cultivated because of this problem in general that you can lean into. But using your strategy and authority, obviously, within any relationship is like the most important thing ever. But it is hard. It is scary. It is heartbreaking. It is confusing because growth is not linear and it's not straightforward. And we are meant to be connecting with people in all different areas of our life, in all different fractals and different frequencies and different levels. So I think that there can be a ego in this spiritual space of like, am above you or I am beyond you.
More evolved than you or more aware than you or...
Yes. And I think that while there is some truth in that, especially in this topic of like outgrowing your partner, right? Of feeling like they're in the kiddie pool and you're in the deep end. Like, of really asking that question, like, do you need this specific person in the deep end with you in this aspect of your life or not? Like, or is it just coming from a place of like wanting them to be you and like wanting them to be experiencing all the things you're experiencing and understanding all the things you're understanding and expanding in all the ways you're expanding, right? Are you able to increase your capacity to hold that they are different from you? Mm-hmm. Like, in general, that's a good question with all relationships. Like, can you allow people to be different from you? And
because that's
is that
love.
Hurting you? Yeah,
that's
because
love.
That is love. Exactly. And like allowing someone to be different than you are they allowing you to be different from them, right? Like, you can't control other people. You can't control how they perceive or how they give love, or you can't force someone to care when they don't, or vice versa. It's out of your control. What is within your control is all of your side of the street, right? What we were just talking about. So I think that it's not straightforward, but if you can increase your capacity to love and listen to your authority and follow that, that's like the only way through. And like, once again, the only way out is through. Like, the only way to the other side is through it. And if you can love along the way while still not abandoning yourself, right? Still not accepting behaviors that are harmful or that are, that are harmful to you, right? Like, allowing other people to be different. Like, even when we're talking about this political climate or the darkness that is crumbling right now, like, allowing other people to be different. They might have different views than you, but is that view like actually harming you or harming someone else? Then that's like, okay, we need boundaries, we need change, we need understanding. We do need to come together, because I'm not going to allow you to kidnap me or my child, or, shoot someone in front of me. Like, all of that, like, right? Like, we can love people and their differences in beliefs and their differences in willingness to grow, while still growing ourselves and while still fighting for the privilege and the openness and opportunity for other people to step into growth and see how they can maybe face their own shadows or own their truth or get out of their ego. Because one thing that does not help people get out of their ego is judgment. Like, judging someone and saying you're bad always creates defensiveness.
It fortifies your ego. It builds you up to be able to cast that judgment on other people in a very hollow, egoic way.
But you focusing on yourself and what you can do and what your growth can be and how you can go into the deep end without them, or whatever that is, that allows people to see like, oh shit, they just met a mermaid in the deep end. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, maybe I do want to go over there, even though it's a little scary.
Oh, mermaids in the deep end. That's another one of my human design rap songs. I'm going to put it on the list.
But like, it's not one size fits all, this analogy. But I do think that there is space, once again, for feeling multiple things at once and not needing someone to be you. I think that alone, like, I think there's so many times I haven't realized that I am having conflict with someone because they're not me. And I'm like wanting them to just be me.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Well, they're not me, they're them. And am I okay with that?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm genuinely not.
Well, yeah, your authority will be like, nope, that's not me. Like you say all the time, that's not my life. Like sometimes it really is like, no, that person's not right for you. And other times, it's just really interesting. I mean, I'm so passionate about everything that we taught about in this course. It's hard for me to not just jump right into it, because we talked about love gates, and I'm automatically thinking about how I'm triple split definition and Shayna's single split, and both of those types of definition. Single definition. Both of those types of definition are not really designed for partnership or to feel completed naturally by partnership. Now, what that tells you is that we have a lot of lessons to learn in why partnerships are beautiful, why they are helpful, because it isn't something that we just naturally know in our energy field. It's something that we learn over time. And, that feeling in human design, we talk so much about attraction. In this training, we go really deep and get so specific into what you are attracted to, the karmic relationships that you'll always attract, whether they're in the highest expression or the lowest expression. But ultimately, attraction and magnetism is a really interesting thing, because we will be, from our not self, attracted to people who are opposite from us. And when we're not following our strategy and authority, that person can really be wrong for us. When we are following our strategy and authority, that person can seem the least compatible on paper. They could have totally different ways of experiencing love through the love gates. They could be so different in every way, have a disharmonious profile, all of this stuff, and still be right for you, right? And so it's just understanding these pushes and pulls of energy. And, in my own life, being triple split definition, I feel like and also probably from a lot of my childhood trauma and conditioning, I think that I can definitely tend on the side of hyper independence and really like internalize when I'm processing something and not want to share it with another person. And it has felt hard for me in the past, like, you're different than me, so I don't get why I would even need you in this circumstance. Like, I'm better off on my own because I can control myself and I understand myself and I am empowered to have self-awareness about who I am, and I can choose my own evolution, but I can't do that for you. And so I think like my natural tendency in life has been to shut off from one-on-one relationships when times get hard and to rely only on myself. And that has really not served me. And in the last few years specifically, following my human design journey more, deconditioning more, healing more, integrating my shadow more, I just think it's really fascinating that I've shown myself how partnerships, whether they're, our business partnership or my romantic relationship, can be innately hard. They can be innately challenging because you're automatically dealing with someone who's different than you. And also, they can be the thing in your life that creates the most support, the most rooted safety in an unsafe world that is changing, that has pain and, horrors and shadows and uncertainty. Your partnerships, when you are in alignment, can be the safe haven, like the space that grounds you more than anything else, that empowers you to be courageous. And I feel that way with our relationship, Shayna. Like, some of the biggest challenges that we've taken on in business, it just feels like because I have this partnership and it's a healthy, aligned, alive partnership full of acceptance, even though we are so very different, sometimes we feel polarized. It creates this grounded safety that I know I'll always have this collaboration and that I'm not on my own. And it heals this really deep human wound inside of us that we are disconnected ultimately from love, that we are on our own. And the same thing with my romantic partnership with Jared. I could go on a whole nother podcast about all of the crazy shit that's been happening in my personal life leading up to this podcast. Leading up to this retreat that we just did. But I shared on Instagram, a lot of you know that my dog passed away literally the day that I was heading down to the retreat. And it ultimately was in divine timing because I kept telling her little soul, like, you can go before the retreat or you can go after the retreat. She had been sick, really sick for about a month. And we knew that she was, any day was going to be her day to go. So I kept telling her, you can go before the retreat or after, but you can't go during. Like, you cannot do that to me. And so her little soul went the day before. And it was like such a deep sadness and grief to say goodbye to her. And also the partnerships in my life, my partnership with Jared and my partnership with you, Shayna, and also coming into this community where I got to just like be sad and like cry right before we're getting on camera, and I have makeup running down my eyes, and our camera guy like literally licked his finger and cleared off my mascara for me.
Which was diabolical to lick your finger.
But also so
Such
deeply
a boy.
loving. But it's like, I just felt so deeply like if I didn't have these partnerships in my life, I would just be nothing. Like, I would just crumble away into not really feeling alive. And it was a healing moment for me because, like I said, I'm triple split definition. And so much of my life, I've been like, I have a lot of individual circuitry, which we teach about that in this curriculum as well. So much of my life, I'm like, I don't need anybody. And in this moment, going through this really sad, deep, goodbye and like karmic moment for me, and being pregnant during this retreat, and just all like, there was just so much going on with our families, with Jared's health, with his dad's health, which, I can get into all of that later. But I felt for the first time this like really, really deep feeling of like, thank God for my relationships in my life, and just feeling how they make me so much more alive. And they also make you vulnerable, and they also challenge you, and they also make you test your own ego and look in the mirror and get over your own shit and stop judging. But they make you feel like life is worth living, and like you get to really experience love on this plane. And that's what makes everything worth it ultimately. So I feel like, we pulled these cards, which I also shared this on Instagram, but we did like a cacao ceremony where we all pulled an oracle card that came with our cacao cup. And I actually didn't even choose my cup. Everyone else chose around me, and then I was the last one. And the card that I pulled was, the end is also the beginning. The morning comes after the morning. And just that theme of like this cosmic life energy and love energy of the death portal and the birth portal for me was so strong here. And being with these women who all have this natural draw to experience and share that love and have that form of bonding and vulnerability, I just felt like my death portal with Rue, my dog, and my birth portal with my daughter who was in my womb. And we also had another baby in the womb, another baby girl in this space. It just felt so cosmic. I was like, this is why we need to study relationships and bonding. Like this connection, being vulnerable, being seen, it makes us stronger. And we haven't been taught that, especially as women. I feel like we've been so conditioned to believe that our strength has to come from within, and that we can't rely on anyone, and that we can't be seen in our weakness and all of that stuff. Like, I feel like for me, this retreat on a personal level was deeply, deeply healing in that realm. And I felt so blessed that my daughter got to be there hearing the voices of the women who were sharing. Because as we mentioned in the beginning of this conversation, everyone who spoke from the first time they spoke was so real and so honest. And my daughter's body and my belly, I just felt her moving and responding to people's frequencies. And I felt so grateful that she got to hear and be a part of that container that is that beacon for me, and a healing beacon for my year ahead, the fire horse year. And I also just feel like a healing beacon for the world.
Yes, 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 yes. I think that a big part of this time is redefining what leadership looks like, and what leadership really truly is, and how women have been leaders this whole time, leading their family, leading their schedules, leading the meals, leading, like, orchestrating everything around. And while that power, when you feel powerless, or you feel inferior, or you feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Insecure, then you feel like you need to take something from someone else to feel more secure, typically in the past. And we're talking about like structures, not individuals, but just like patriarchy in general. And moving into this matriarchal new paradigm, divine feminine and masculine energy, we're redefining and rediscovering and re-illuminating what leadership really looks like. And I think that this epidemic, if you'll call it, of women outgrowing their partner, Ra talks about it as like that is a part of this new paradigm. Women outgrowing men is what he would say. And I think that it's getting really nuanced as we observe these changes leading into this new paradigm of really seeing how, as women, we are leaders in this emotional space, in this capacity to this willingness to set fear down and grow and to move through, because we have had no other choice physically in our physical bodies throughout, our whole lives of having cycles and giving birth and having things be outside of our control, but choosing to show up with love anyways and heal. And while I'm still not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the energies, right? There's definitely plenty of women who are not healed or who are not willing to show up in that way. And there's plenty of men who do. It's the overall feeling of like, we are rising and leadership is getting redefined, and leading with heart, leading with love, leading with vulnerability and openness, and seeing that as strength and how we are stronger together, like you were just sharing, and the vulnerability and courage it takes to lean on one another and feel safe within one another and allow each other to use our gifts and allow ourselves to be led, all of that. There's just, I think we're really, really unraveling it all. And half of it is going to be messy and is going to be scary and painful and not quite it yet. And then the other half of it's going to be like piercing through, shining brightly, like grounding shit down as things are messily getting figured out around it. So if that's you and you're listening and you're like, I am in the deep end and it feels lonely, or I am angry because I have been held down or held back my whole life, or my ancestral lineage through me is rageful because it's always been oppressed. Something in me has been oppressed or been lied to or gaslit or twisted. You're not alone. Like, you're not alone. And you chose this time for a reason. And through your consciousness evolving, through your passion and love, ultimately it's coming from a place of love and wanting better, more growth and change for the future, right? That's a love for humanity. That's a love for our future, and holding that vision that it can be better and that injustices can be healed and righted and seen. The silence, like the unacknowledgement or not acknowledging it, that gives power to corruption, right? The more that we talk about things, the more that we share openly and truthfully and vulnerably, even without solutions, the more we're going to heal, we're going to lead, we're going to change this world. So we are right alongside there with you. We are not perfect and nobody is. And I think that that's amazing that we can still show up and share honestly, share our hearts and connect. So if we haven't met you in a retreat, I feel like we have just by you listening to this podcast. I feel like we're on the same frequency, and maybe our paths will cross in person or in besties or just through this energetics of this podcast. Like, our paths are crossing. We feel your frequency, even though we maybe never met before. And we are just, loving you, loving feeling your energy here.
And we always say that our community that listens to this podcast, like, we get so connected on this like podcast astral plane, like our thought waves and our heart waves literally connect when we're coming together and listening to this podcast together and having these conversations. We think a lot of the same things. We're moving on the same fractal. We're growing in the same way. So we always feel like when we have retreats, even though it's a limited number of people who get to join us in the physical, we always feel like the medicine that we glean from that experience is something that everyone here needs and feels. And so we're so connected in that way. But definitely the very last bestie ceremony that we just did, a lot of the members that came to this retreat in Palm Springs were able to come to that physical one. And then also people who've come to our other retreats. And so the same type of amazing soul family frequency of best friend energy is just there in that space. But I had this like download. I'm like, this is the same as our retreat containers. Yeah. And, that special frequency that we get to create only once a year in person. It's like this glimmering moment. We get to create that online through besties. And I didn't fully realize that before, that's why I loved it so much. But now I'm really like, okay, this is like the medicine. It's like the prescription that we all need to make it through this year. So if you haven't joined us with Besties, it's only $33 a month. You can come and go anytime. We would love to see you in there. We do a live Q&A and a ceremony every other month. And then every month we do a live ceremony. And we have an extensive library of human design mini courses where you can nerd out and learn more about human design. We also have an extensive library of guided meditations and tappings. And every month we share something new that can be extremely supportive for what we're needing to learn or work with in that month's energy. So it's a really beautiful space to continue your human design journey, to deepen your education. It's so affordable, and it's such a great space to create conscious community if you are feeling that feeling of feeling lonely, being a homesick starseed alien who's here to usher in the new paradigm. You're not alone. We are here with you, and we'd love to connect in that space in someday in a future retreat, and also just every time we connect in together on this podcast. So thank you so much for being here. We are really excited about the year of the fire horse. Like we said in the beginning, like we are like giddy up motherfuckers. We have shit to do. We have stuff to share. We have inspiration that is really guiding us. And this online course that will be coming out from this retreat, all about the advanced mechanics of human design relationships and bonding, I really feel that this medicine is needed and people are ready for it. So if you are a human design reader, a guide, a coach, or working with couples, or you're in a romantic relationship, or you have a family, like there's so much that we go through. We really touch on almost like every form of relationship and bonding within a very mechanical lens. There's just so much potent medicine in this. And I feel like the world is going to be desperately needing guides who have this information, who have this awareness at this time. So I'm really excited for that group to form too. The people who come into this online course and get to tap into the frequency of this space, because our favorite way to create online courses is recording them in person, because the people who are there, the brilliant questions that they're asking, the energy, the frequency that it creates is something that you get to tap into in the online course version. And it's just such a beautiful gift to be able to like time travel, if you will, through the technologies that we have.
Yes. So we love you. We hope that you have a just less lonely week, and like feeling more seen and more loved, because you are. And yeah, you know where you can find everything. It's linked below, but on our website, daylunalife.com, on Instagram at DayLuna, and we will see you, or you'll hear from us soon. Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to follow along and learn more about human design.